Alabama, 2.5-point favorite right now, going to Tennessee. So Tennessee is a home dog. Interesting. Very, very interesting. This was a tough game to break down, to be real with y'all. It's a tough matchup because I'm still trying to figure out who both these teams are. Like, I'm watching Alabama, South Carolina last week, and I'm like, did the Georgia game even happen? Like, where is the Alabama team we saw for 4 quarters in Tuscaloosa? Or I guess 2.5 quarters, 2 quarters if you want to be real. Where's that team at? I haven't seen them since then. They lost to Vanderbilt, made it far too interesting against South Carolina. Like, South Carolina's a good football team, but for Alabama, as good as they have played, I don't know who they are right now, and that's concerning. For Tennessee, sort of the same deal. The Oklahoma game happens, and we're like, Tennessee, thinking playoff, vibes are high. Lose to Arkansas, okay, let's get back right. Because Florida, God bless them, not great defensively. It was a very, very gettable Florida defense. And Tennessee, once again, offensively, kind of struggled to look the way you would hope they would look if you're a Tennessee fan and what you expect from this Josh Heupel offense. Alabama fans, Tennessee fans, make sure you are subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, nothing but college football year-round. We appreciate you in advance for being dialed in. This prediction is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Got a Prize Picks play for you a little bit later in this prediction segment, but when you use code HARDCOUNT, $5 in lineups gets you $50 in promo funds. We plan on winning, but even if we don't, when you play that $5 with code HARDCOUNT, you get $50 in promo funds. Back to the prediction. So last time we had Alabama in Knoxville, we found out that goalposts indeed do not float. Good to know. The plays are there if you're Tennessee. I will say that. I think there are some plays to be had downfield that Nico Iamaleava and this receiving corps just quite frankly aren't capitalizing on. If there's a time to get right, man, this is the time. This is the time. Because if you can beat Alabama, if you're Tennessee, one, the rivalry in itself, third Saturday in October, like you get that dub, the vibes would be incredible in Knoxville. We've seen what can happen when Tennessee beats Bama in Knoxville. It's a very, very, very tough scene for everyone that's trying to clean up afterwards in Knoxville. It's a very, very good vibe for everyone that's celebrating that one. All right, so I'll say that. Maybe as importantly, the Arkansas loss. If you beat Alabama, you're able to kind of delete that one from the folder. Not that it doesn't matter, but I think when it comes to that whole college football playoff conversation, the talk going into the year was always, can you split Bama and Georgia? If you can, great. Now you might need to do a little bit more than just split them, but you'll take this one against Bama if you can get it, and it would obviously help optics with the Arkansas loss. For Alabama, here's my concern. It's twofold, and we said it the Sunday after, so another reason to be subscribed here. The first concern is that Vanderbilt, I believe, exposed some things with how to beat Alabama, and we all saw that. South Carolina, I believe, followed a similar blueprint. The thing is, South Carolina has better players than Vanderbilt. Now, South Carolina did not hit the shots that Vanderbilt hit to ultimately win the football game, but the same plays are there. The other concern, the second concern for me, is that Alabama, historically, with Nick Saban now, which, again, he's not the head coach there anymore, so we all understand that. Historically, when Bama would lose a game, they would turn around and just kick the teeth in of whoever they had next on the schedule, right? Like that was kind of that was their MO. Bama loses to Vandy and then just ekes out a win over South Carolina. So I think if you're concerned as an Alabama fan, that's extremely fair. I also think it's extremely fair to remember that this is a really good Alabama football team that took it to Georgia for 2 quarters and then second half happened. It is what it is. All that's to say, for both Bama and Tennessee, I'm very curious to see where the psyche is for both these teams. Because I think the last couple of games for each side, I don't know this to be true, but I think it's fair to wonder where the confidence level is at. Because you lose to Vandy, everyone and their mama goes to Twitter and they have their own take and they're going after Bama and DeBoer and whatever. Like, I know you put on the blinders that you try to block it out as best you can. It's impossible to not at least hear the echoes of it. Everyone has a phone. Everyone's on Twitter. Everyone within that locker room understands now what's being said about this football team. And that was a football team that came out against South Carolina. Quite frankly, that play like they had heard a lot of things said about them. In a negative way. For Tennessee, kind of the same deal. The Florida game is tough to take stock of because the Florida game is always weird for Tennessee. But you do sort of start to look back at your season. You're like, okay, well, the Oklahoma game, if Jackson Arnold and that Oklahoma offense can capitalize on turnovers, maybe we have a different situation going into this game in itself. Maybe we have 2 losses. I don't know. But I do just think you're a little bit uneasy. So psychologically, where these both are at is going to be very, very interesting going into this game. This game to me feels a little bit, I don't want to say simplistic because college football is never simple, but there's two matchups, two areas of opportunity where I'm just looking at both these teams and saying, okay, who's going to go win? Someone's got to go win this matchup, and that matchup will have a ripple effect across the game and dictate, I think, who ends up winning this one. For Tennessee, it's the wide receiving core. God bless Alabama and their secondary. They have not been great. Even against Georgia, like Carson Beck went for 4 bills, and he had one of the worst games of his career when it came to turnovers. Ultimately, they made the play to win the football game, but Vandy took advantage of the secondary. South Carolina took advantage of the secondary. Now, the secondary has been opportunistic enough to win football games, but like if you don't think there's plays out there, we're not watching the same thing. And Tennessee's wide receiving core, we went out there in the spring, saw them practice. They got some dudes now. I'm waiting for them to emerge. Chris Brazzell, the transfer from Tulane, I think he's much better than how he's played. Squirrel White, same deal. Brew McCoy, same deal. Dante Thornton, he's the guy I'm watching closely because I think his skill set of size and speed, the blend of those two, he could be a guy that pops in a very big way in a spot like this. So excited to see that. Now for Alabama, that front seven, go win. Go win because the Tennessee offensive line, I don't know if they're bad per se, but they're very gettable. And if you're able to get the Tennessee offensive line and rattle a young quarterback, okay, we could have the snowball effect here. You got Nico Iamaleava seeing ghosts, maybe some uncharacteristic turnovers. Multisyllable word there. Just saying, it gets a little bit tricky. Gets a little bit tricky for Tennessee, and things start to get left quick, fast, and in a hurry, especially if that equates to turnovers and equates to extra possessions for A1 Jalen Milroe. Now, I fully expect Alabama defensively to follow the blueprint set by Oklahoma, Arkansas, and now Florida. And that blueprint essentially is like, hey, we're going to put our defensive backs right around, call it 7-ish yards, 6-ish yards, basically soft coverage. We're going to dare Nico to beat us. We're going to load the box, say, okay, run the football if you want to. We got numbers. We're going to give you a look that says throw the ball. Can you beat us? Right? If you're Alabama's front seven, you can stop the run. That's how that would happen. Same thing we just said for the wide receivers for Tennessee. Like, if you're getting that look, you're getting soft coverage, you're getting a loaded box, okay, there's green grass to go win. So that's where this gets really interesting to me. Now, this is a spot, I think, for Nico. He's taken a lot of heat, I think, as the quarterback at Tennessee. Anytime you're the quarterback for a place like Tennessee, of course there's going to be some things said about you and said about how you play and all that. It's not just Nico, all right? It's not. I mentioned the offensive line. I mentioned the wide receivers. Like, it's not just a Nico issue here at Tennessee right now. You got to get some guys that go win. Now, Dylan Sampson has been, like I said, he has been hooping so far to this point in the year. Got to support Nico as best you can in this game and try and offset that defense. If you can force a little bit more real estate downfield, that's always a good thing. But I do think when you look at the ways that Alabama has lost against Vanderbilt, I say the ways they've lost, the ways they've made it close. The Vanderbilt one was a loss, but the game against South Carolina, I think defensively, there were spots where you played poorly enough to lose, and it was the quarterbacks just being playmakers. And there's nothing really technical to break down there, but like Diego Pavia and Lenora Sellers, there was a lot of times where they got to that second play. I think Nico Iamaleava is as good an athlete, if not better, than both those cats. He can hurt you with his legs. So I'm curious game plan-wise here how Josh Heupel approaches it. I think maybe this is a spot where you just try and get Nico into more rhythm. Now, how do you do that? Josh Heupel and Nico Iamaleava have got to have that conversation and feel good about their plan going forward. Because if it's me, I would say, okay, let's get some more design quarterback run. If we're not calling it against Bama, when are we calling it? Like, I get you want to keep number 8 healthy as much as possible, and you don't do anything stupid with how you use him, but I do think you have to, in some way, shape, or form, get him involved and make him a threat in the run game. Vanderbilt has proven that's something you can do against this Alabama defense. I would also do things to build his confidence in the pass game, whether that's taking that soft coverage they're giving you, whether that's taking some quick games, some easy wins in the pass game. Get him in rhythm. If he gets into a flow, Tennessee has a very good chance to win this football game. Now, here's the thing I'm watching when it comes to Alabama offensively. Jalen Milroe is sort of he's sort of that trump card you just have to keep an eye on in this game. Like, He is so good to where the matchups might favor Tennessee in this spot. There might be plays for Tennessee on offense here, and like they might be able to have this matchup, and like all those things are nice. But if Jalen Milroe just says, you know what, today I'm him, that could be the game. That could be the analysis there for you. Hey, Tennessee, you played great, but number 4 had a day. It is what it is. And I think when we look at Jalen Milroe, the thing that we're watching here is what he does with his legs against this Tennessee front seven. Now, the thing that just breaks your heart and broke, I think, everyone's heart that's a college football fan, period, yesterday, Keenan Pili, he's done, which I absolutely hate that for Tennessee, hate that for college football. That is a massive loss when it comes to trying to slow down Jalen Milroe in the run game, because that's where this whole thing, I think, flows from if you're Alabama offensively. If Jalen Milroe can get the run game going, whether it be designed or whether it be ad-lib, at that point, Alabama is a step ahead of you because you're trying to adjust to what Jalen Milroe can do. You're trying to figure out a way, okay, do we have an extra spy? Do we commit different resources in the pass game to try and, roll down and stop him? And when that happens, that's when Kalen DeBoer has you. That's when he can adjust and have plays downfield. That's where Kalen DeBoer is extra dangerous because Jalen Milroe is cooking. So in this spot now, with no Keenan Pili, like James Pierce, going to be a top 15, top 10 pick probably next year for Tennessee. This is the spot where we got to have you stunt here, brother. Like this is the spot where you boss up in a very massive way. Because I promise you, NFL scouts are going to pull up the games against your best competition. They're going to watch the Alabama game and how you played against one of the best, most dynamic athletes in college football in Jalen Milroe. So if James Pierce can go do what South Carolina did against Alabama, and they can get 4 sacks and set up, third in passing, third in limited playbook, good things are happening for Tennessee. So when it comes to our pick in this one, whenever we have a spread like this, the filter I run it through when it comes down to who we're going to pick, what is harder to believe? Is it harder to believe that Nico Iamaleava can get right against a very gettable Alabama defense at the crib, or is it harder to believe that Alabama is still one of the elites in college football and just hasn't played like it the last couple of weeks? To me, I'm going to go ahead and believe what I've seen to this point. Because even factoring in Tennessee's offensive success early on in the year, I have not seen the Tennessee offense look how they need to look to beat Alabama for the better part of the last 3 weeks. Now, Alabama, they've got their own issues defensively. Don't get it twisted. But for whatever reason, man, we dunk on Kalen DeBoer for playing South Carolina close. Kalen DeBoer, for whatever reason, his teams just win close games. They were 8-0 last year at Washington in one-score games. I think that Alabama wins this football game close. I think the final score is 27-24. I just think that Alabama has too much firepower offensively. I trust Jalen Milroe too much in this spot. I think they get it done. Now, with prize picks, a couple of plays for you here. I'm going to take less on Nico Iamaleava's passing yards. I'm going to take less on Jalen Milroe's rushing yards. I think that Tennessee does get to him a little bit. Nico Iamaleava's passing yards is 199.5. Jalen Milroe's rush yards is 47.5. So I'll take the less on both of those. Could see this being a little bit rock fighty. Again, 27-24. I'm taking the Tide to win a close one now in Knoxville.